new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day 1, or day 2, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
On the cliffs above the North Sea, Flamborough has always been a place where stories cling to the landscape. The white chalk cliffs stand against wind, rain and winter storms. Fishing boats have sailed from these shores for centuries, while narrow paths cross the fields towards the cliff edge, worn smooth by countless feet. It is a landscape shaped by the sea, but also by memory. Old tales linger here, long after the people who first told them have gone. One such story belongs to an unremarkable hollow in the ground. There is little to distinguish it from the surrounding fields, yet for generations, local people treated it with quiet respect. It became known simply as Jenny Gallows Pit, and few were willing to linger there after sunset. No one could say exactly when Jenny lived. By the 19th century, even her life had faded from memory. What survived was the belief that she had taken her own life beside the pit, leaving her name forever tied to that lonely place. As the years passed, the hollow became something altogether darker. People said it was touched by something older than memory itself. Children whispered that anyone who ran around the pit 9 times would hear the fairies. On still evenings, when the wind dropped and even the sea seemed to fall quiet, faint voices were said to drift across the fields from the hollow itself. But it was another belief that gave the pit its fearful reputation. If the 8th circuit was completed, Jenny herself would rise. She was said to appear dressed in white, climbing slowly from the hollow before calling out in a broad Yorkshire dialect, "I'll tea on me bonnet and put on me shoe, and if thou's not off, I'll shouldn't catch you." Children learned the rhyme almost as soon as they learned the story. Few ever dared to test it. One man did. Towards the end of the 19th century, the Yorkshire antiquarian John Nicholson recorded a tale that had already become well known around Flamborough. A local farmer, amused by the old superstition, decided to prove there was nothing to fear. He saddled his mare and rode out across the fields. Reaching the pit, he urged the horse into a steady trot and began circling the hollow. The first 7 circuits passed without incident. Only the rhythm of hooves broke the silence. Then the 8th circuit came to an end. Something stirred inside the pit. A pale figure slowly climbed from the hollow. She wore white from head to foot. The farmer did not wait to look again. He wheeled the mare around and drove her towards the village as fast as she could run. Behind him came the woman. The old story says she moved in a way no living person should, gliding over the ground as though the earth itself carried her forward. Every time the farmer glanced over his shoulder, she seemed a little closer. Then he heard her voice, not shouting, not screaming, simply repeating the old rhyme that every child in Flamborough already knew. The mare ran harder than she ever had before. Ahead, the cottages of the village caught the last of the evening light. Safety lay only moments away. Horse and rider crossed the village boundary, At once the pursuit ended. Jenny stopped. She would come no further. The farmer had escaped, or almost. As she turned away, she lunged once at the fleeing horse. When the farmer already dared to stop, he discovered a wound on the mare's flank. A piece of flesh had been bitten away. The injury healed, but local people said the mare carried a white patch on her side for the rest of her life. For them, that mark was proof enough. The story spread along the Yorkshire coast, and before long, Jenny Gallows had become as much a part of Flamborough as the cliffs themselves. Children still challenged one another to run the circles, though few found the courage to complete the 8th lap. Most turned back long before then. Even now, the old pit has never entirely lost its reputation. Those who know the story often find themselves quickening their pace as they pass it after dusk, without ever quite knowing why. The North Sea still pounds against the chalk cliffs below Flamborough. The wind still bends the long grass across the fields, and the old paths still lead towards the lonely hollow where Jenny Gallows was said to die. By daylight, it is nothing more than a shallow depression in the earth. But as dusk settles over the headland, and the cries of the gulls fade into the wind, it becomes much easier to picture a woman climbing slowly from the pit, tying her bonnet, pulling on one shoe, and waiting patiently for the sound of footsteps beginning the 8th circuit, and hoping they do not stop at 7. Thank you for listening to Ghost Tales by the Fireside. If you enjoy these stories, you can support the podcast and get access to MP3s over on buymeacoffee.com/Ghost Tales. They're £1.50 each, or free if you're a subscriber. You can find everything at ghosttales.co.uk and follow on Facebook and Instagram at Ghost Tales Podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.